The heroes of the DC universe have departed, and only one left standing can become the King Omega. Will it be Superman? Well, before the Man of Steel does his part for the greater good, he must first put his house in order. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Superman issue number 31 and find out together, shall we? So then, as the title of the video should lead you to believe, this comic is actually a tie-in to the events of DCKO, though something of a weird one. It actually takes place before and during the events of DCKO issue number 1. For starters, we see Superman having a big argument with Time Trapper Doomsday over whether or not having what is essentially a giant cosmic kumite is the right course of action to save Earth. Time Trapper Doomsday says that, yeah, unfortunately it is. I have seen the future. Darkseid wins, and the only way any of this gets better is if one of you heroes is able to enter the center of the Earth and claim the Heart of Apokolips for yourself. Naturally, all of these brand new revelations involving Darkseid and the Heart of Apokolips have given Superman pause, so much to the point he returns to the Fortress of Solitude, which has actually been rebuilt, following its destruction during the events of Absolute Power. Superman asks the AI of his father Jor-El for info regarding Darkseid, only to be hit with a lot of "file not found." Though when that questioning turns out to be a dead end, Superman changes the subject to something rather interesting. He asks his father why he only built one rocket, and that if he had the chance to save more people from Krypton, would he do it? Again, kind of a compelling question when we remember over in the new Absolute Superman book, Jor-El and Lara actually did try and save the whole planet. Now, why is Superman so interested right now in ferrying people away from doomed planets? Well, he fears that the worst might actually happen in this upcoming battle with Darkseid, and because of that, he's already making plans to evacuate Earth. Of course, he can't do it on his own. He's going to have to ask for help from Mercy Graves and LexCorp. Also, hey, would you look at that? Rudy Jones the Parasite is alive. Good for him. Mercy and LexCorp might not know the full story about what's going on with this big tournament to the death, but LexCorp still has their ways, and apparently they were already experimenting on a space ark. Mercy calls it the Super Ship, and it actually makes use of Brainiac tech that the company managed to capture during the events of the House of Brainiac storyline. Essentially, they think they can evacuate whole cities, maybe even whole countries, using this method. Superman thinks it's great, but he's going to need 12 ASAP for his plan to work. This is, of course, where John Henry Irons and Steelwork come in to do the heavy lifting. Believe it or not, though, the hardest part of this Exodus plan for Superman isn't just getting the ships ready in time, it's getting Lois to agree to go on it. Lois is a brave and proud woman at the best of times, but her reasoning here is actually what I think is super cool from a narrative standpoint. You see, she doesn't trust Time Trapper Doomsday. To her, he's still the monster that took her husband away from her all those years ago, and there's nothing to say that this isn't some big prolonged trap. Still, though, she believes in Superman, she believes in Clark to do the right thing and save the day. In fact, Superman even tells her that the only way that he would be willing to take part in this fight to the death is if he was 100% certain that all of his friends, family, and loved ones would be protected and have a chance to escape should the worst happen. Hell, in a lovely bit of connective tissue, we actually see Superman and his extended family take a walk in the park like we did in the pages of the DCKO number 1. Lois and the others board the Ark and end up flying away from Earth, but always the journalist, Lois just cannot seem to let something go. She knows about Darkseid, knows about the Heart of Apokolips, and she wants to ask her own questions to the Jor-El AI, who ends up giving her more or less the same answers as before. File not found. There were some knowledges that were considered forbidden even on Krypton, and because of that, I didn't include them in the files that I sent my son to Earth with. Again, Lois calls bunk on all of that, saying that to know that information is forbidden, you would have to know what that information was, as to not include it in the first place. Geez, Lois even goes a step further by saying, you know what, Jor-El, the one time I met you when you were Mr. Oz, you were kind of a dick, so you'll excuse me for not believing your AI. Shockingly, this line of questioning proved to be exactly what was needed, as at that very moment, the Lara AI ends up waking up. Lara, you'll remember from that DCKO special, not only worked in the archives back on Krypton when it was still around, but she also just so happened to have seen a Heart of Apokolips up close and personal in her youth, why she even went a step further, unlocking the true secret meaning of Doomsday's birth. You see, if Darkseid is the Omega King, a being of death, destruction, and entropy, then the only weapon that could ever possibly challenge him Prime is an alpha weapon, one born of rebirth and recreation, and we already know that Doomsday cannot die, and every time you kill him, he simply just comes back stronger than before, so yeah, it all kinda checks out. Lois has this new amazing information, though unfortunately she has no way to take it to Superman. Luckily, though, she might not have to, as at that very moment, Superboy Prime ends up crashing into the fortress from the future. He had rallied what was left of the Legion of Superheroes, but unfortunately it still wasn't enough. Darkseid's Dark Legion has followed him back to the present in the form of a very sick-looking Dark Sunboy. Which, hey, you know, funny thing about Sunboy, a character who wields solar radiation and who is just kind of shooting it around the fortress willy-nilly, he hits Lois. And wouldn't you know it, that turns out to be exactly what the Doctor ordered in reactivating her latent superpowers. Yes, that's right, everyone, DCKO has just kicked off, and Superwoman has returned. And so that was Superman issue number 31, everybody, the first tie-in to DCKO I've read so far. For a second there, I was actually a little worried that they might be putting some of the fights from the tournament in these tie-ins, but luckily that wasn't the case. Obviously, what Joshua Williamson has been doing in the Superman book is really damn important for what's going on in the greater DCKO story, so it's not surprising at all that this newest issue manages to fill in the blanks while also moving ahead some different hanging plot threads that have been here in the book since day one, though I will admit, half this issue did feel like characters getting revelations that we as the reader already knew from reading other special tie-ins. Not the worst thing ever, but a little annoying when you read as many comics as me. I will say I was not expecting that the Superman book in Superman's absence might very well end up becoming a Superwoman, Superboy Prime buddy cop book, but hey, you know what? You certainly hooked me, Joshua Williamson, and I'll be interested to see where this story ends up going from here. Overall, I would give this one a very positive 8 out of 10. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.